Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jamie. I'm a senior software engineer, and today we're going to be going over the factory design pattern. So what is the factory design pattern and how do we actually use it? So the factory design pattern is basically just a factory, right? So if you think of a normal factory in real life, it's a place where we manufacture things. So this is the same kind of concept in programming. So what we want to do is we want to have one source that generates new object for us. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend that we have a school that we have created, okay? And in our school, we're gonna have a lot of different staff members. So we can have a teacher, we can have a custodian, we can have, an assistant. We can have a number of different staff members, right? So we would want to create a school or a staff factory. And in that staff factory, we would want to be able to call one method that creates whatever type of object that we assign it to. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing here today. In order for us to do that, we're going to get started by creating an interface. Let's call it the iProps interface, so it stands for properties. We're going to give it a name, which is a string. And we're also going to give it a type, which is a string as well. Now, once we have that interface set up, we're going to begin with our first class. So in our first class, it's going to be a teacher class. Inside of this teacher class, we're going to have some properties, there you go. And that's going to be a type of props. And then we're going to create a constructor. So in this constructor, we're going to say private props is going to be a type of props that we're passing in. And then finally, within these brackets, we're going to set the properties value equal to the props that we just passed into the constructor. Okay, so this is a teacher class. But now we are going to copy and paste, and instead of a teacher, we want an assistant, right? And then let's do a third one here. So we are also going to have a custodian. Perfect. So now we've got three different classes. We have a teacher, an assistant, and a custodian, okay? How do we create an object from one location? So we're going to create a class, and we're going to call this the staff factory. Inside of this staff factory that we're creating, what we want to do is we want to create a create method. And inside of this create method, it's going to take some data. And this data is going to abide by the iProps interface. Now inside of here, what we can do is we can set up a switch statement. So we can say switch.data.type. And in the event that the data type is equal to a teacher, then we're going to create a teacher. So in order for us to do that, we're going to create a let variable up here. We're going to call it out. And we can just assign it like that. Or you know what, let's give it a type of any to declare the type. And then over here and on our case statement, so under the teacher itself, we're going to say out equals new teacher. Now this new teacher is going to take in some data, because remember, the data is the props interface, right? So now we can create another case. You know what, I'm just going to write it out here. So in this case that we have an assistant, we're going to say out equals to a new assistant. And the same thing, we're going to put data inside of there, and we're going to set up a break. And then finally, we're going to say in the case that we have a custodian, we're going to set out equal to a new custodian. And the same thing, we're going to add the data inside of it. We're going to say break at the end, And then afterwards, we're just going to say return the out. Okay. So this function here is going to create, it's going to basically designate which class instance gets created. Okay, so that's what the whole factory is about. So if we wanted to actually use this, I would come down here and I would say something like const employee equals, I guess employee, you can call it employee, or you know what, let's call it school, equals new, and then we can say staff factory. Okay, so then here we can say school.create. So we're telling the school to create a new staff member, and this expects some data. So what it's expecting is a type. So let's say we wanted to create a teacher, we can pass in the type of teacher followed by the name of the teacher. So this teacher is going to be called Miss Jenny, for example. Okay, hit that semicolon at the end, and let me just wrap this around the console log to show you guys what happens. So once I run this code, you'll notice that it created a new teacher for us. So this gives us the teacher instance of that class, right? The teacher's name is Miss Jenny. But now what happens in the event that I copy and paste this here, instead of a teacher, now we want to create a assistant. So maybe the assistant's name is Mrs. I don't know, Mrs. Smith. If I run this, now we have a teacher that was created, which was Miss Jenny, and we also have Mrs. Smith. And similarly, if we run this for the custodian, we can call the custodian Mr. John. Okay, so again, same kind of situation here. If we run this and we scroll down on the console, you're going to see that a custodian was created. So what you'll notice is that everything was just created from this staff factory. So I hope you guys learned something new here. If you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys.